Hey guys, what is going on? DeltaBot here, and we are back with some more Titanfall 2, and this is for all of you new free-to-play players out there getting involved with our game for the very first time this weekend. And maybe you've played Titanfall 1, didn't really like it, never picked up Titanfall 2, maybe you've never touched Titanfall, maybe you've never touched a first-person shooter, I don't know. And you just see this game is free-to-play and it's got a giant robot on the cover and it looks really cool. Well, I'm here to tell you that the game is as cool as the cover looks. And that's saying a lot because I really like the cover. Now, first things first, this game has a steep learning curve. This is not an easy game to play or to play well. And because of that, you're probably going to get shafted for a while. The biggest thing is, map knowledge, because most of the movement stuff and positioning and everything is kind of based off of the map knowledge. And one thing you'll see and hear a lot while you play the game is movement is everything. While I don't disagree with that, I obviously think there are other ways you can play the game, but just don't be this guy. Nobody likes this guy. Anyways, movement is very important in this game. I don't use movement as much as a lot of people do, but I still use it frequently, and I still use it to move around the map and get to places a lot. And because of that, not knowing where you're going in the map is going to make things hurt a lot, especially when you've got these players bunny hopping, flying through the air, shooting you halfway across the map on hip fire from an alternator, which I think needs to be nerfed. But that's a discussion for another day. It's going to hurt. So I'm going to say the first tip I've got for you is take it slow, because you're not going to know the maps, and running around like a chicken with your head cut off isn't the right thing to do just because other people do it. Find a way you enjoy playing and do that, except don't be this guy. Like I said, nobody likes this guy. The down and dirty when it comes to the guns is, I think, the most beginner friendly guns are the R201 and the Car. They're the two starter SMG and assault rifles that you get, and both of them are high rate of fire, low recoil, low damage guns, but at close range they'll still have similar DPS and time to kill that other higher damage guns like the Flatline do. Now, at long range, you're going to want to steer clear of people who are using the G2, just because that gun is kind of broken and it's basically unbeatable at long range unless you've got a really good shot or the other person misses. So try not to get in too many long range gunfights with those, but the biggest key when it comes to finding guns is finding what you enjoy doing. If you're good at managing recoil, I would definitely recommend the Flatline. It's a very good gun. The Alternator's good at close to mid-range. It can struggle at long range, but it can also do it. It's got the legs for it. The Hemlock, you'll get hate mail for that because people think it's broken. It's still a pretty good gun. And then obviously the G2, that's a it's basically an M14, and it's got a ridiculous amount of range. And since it can fire as fast as you can pull the trigger, it also has some pretty serious up-close chops too. When it comes to the classes, there are 6 classes. Wait, am I counting right? Well, I'm going to go through them all, and if I counted wrong, then you'll know. My baby is the Holopilot. It's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. You can send out 2 Holopilots on a charge. I think it takes about 15 seconds to recharge one of them, and it looks exactly like you and continues doing exactly what you're doing. Then there's also the Pulse Blade, which basically is a throwing knife from Call of Duty, except it's harder to hit people with it, and when it hits ground, it sends out a pulse beacon that's probably about 20 meters across, and you'll see people both lit up on your screen as well as on your minimap. There's the Phase, which I'm using now, where you phase to an alternate dimension for a few seconds, and you get 2 uses per charge with, again, about 15 seconds to recharge each one. Then there's also the Stim Pilot, which is basically somebody took a whole bunch of really good drugs and they're going super fast. There's the Cloak, which is exactly what it sounds like. The AWOL, which is the bastard child of the classes, which you can put up a wall in front of you that you can shoot through, and it makes your bullets do more damage, and people can't shoot back. I think it's retarded. Then there's also the Grappler, which is probably the most spectacular class there is in this game. Most people just use it to move from one spot to another, pull themselves up to a rooftop or something, but you can do some absurd things with the grappler. So if you do want to pick that up and see what you can do with it, I definitely recommend looking up some tutorial videos, because there is some ridiculous stuff that people do with the grappler. As for getting started when it comes to actual gameplay, I would say definitely start. I think they include the first mission on the campaign. I would definitely recommend playing that. Yes, Titanfall 2 does have a campaign. It helps with, learning mobility, because the gauntlet, unlike in Modern Warfare 2 or whatever game you've played the gauntlet in, it's actually useful. It helps a lot when it comes to learning how to move. I would not worry too much about your time or killing the NPCs that are around on the gauntlet, because generally speaking, if you're new to the game, you're not going to be able to do that in multiplayer anyways, unless you are an absolute prodigy. And if you are, I tip my hat to you. The biggest thing I would say focus on is fluidity of movement, because while I don't think movement is everything, it is definitely a huge part of the game. So getting used to it in the gauntlet in a controlled environment, very good idea. And also playing through the entire first mission, where you really get a lowdown of what a Titan is, as well as you get a lot more practice in movement. I think it's a very good idea. I definitely like that I had played the campaign first, so at least I had an idea of what I was getting into when I got into the multiplayer. The next thing I'm going to say is, like I said, you're probably going to get your ass handed to you regularly when you're playing. Just take it slow. I made a FPS tutorial series, and I'm still working on it, actually. That's just general FPSs, but I am also focusing it on Titanfall 2. Is my second episode, my big point is staying calm, especially in a game like Titanfall 2, where there's so much going on. Depending on what you're playing, if you're playing attrition, you've got giant robots flying around, you've got NPCs shooting at you, you've got pilots shooting at you, flying through the air with, the alternator. And there's just so much going on. So take it slow. Try to stick to higher ground. It's not always the best idea, but more often than not, height helps. So I would definitely recommend sticking to higher ground, trying to get a scope of the area, and learn the maps, because, like I said, map knowledge is kind of everything in this game. The movement and positioning and all that stuff is useless unless you have good map knowledge. So try to figure out where you are on maps, where are good positions on maps, what are good routes on maps, all that stuff. And if you guys see me around in public lobbies, please shoot me a message. I will try to help you guys out, because the goal of this free-to-play weekend is to grow our community, and a lot of vets are going to probably have a fuck you attitude. I just want to boost my stats. I am more than happy to help you guys out if you guys want any help from me at all. And depending on what you've seen here, maybe you think I'm a garbage player, I don't know. So that's really all I've got for the starter stuff. I could get in depth with Titans and everything too, because there are 5 different Titans that all play extremely differently, but to be honest, there are a lot of guides out there. This is just general get started, what can you do to, get the boots off the ground. Like I said, take it slow, try to stay high, pay attention, and most of all, have fun, because this game is a fantastic game. It is not often we get such a great game like Titanfall 2. So I would say take it slow, be patient, because you're probably going to get wrecked, and stay with it, because it really is a fun game. And the more you play it, the more comfortable you'll be with it. The more comfortable you are with it, the better you're going to do. And we all want to expand this community, because Titanfall deserves to have a larger community than it does. And I haven't really met anybody who hasn't liked this game, who's put any significant amount of time in it. So just try it. Message people. Get involved with games. Get involved with, if you see a squad, message them, see if you can latch on to them, see if they can help you out a little bit. So thank you all very much for watching. Make sure you leave a like or a dislike, depending on what you thought. Subscribe if you want more. And I will see you all in the next video. And also, don't be this guy. Here especially is this guy. I don't know why. You should have just shot me, dude. I don't know how you missed the melee, but you should have just shot me. Dividing the map into sections and staying in a certain area so you can, learn the area better and get calm and comfortable in that area.